Alright, I would like to start out this video by saying that there is no new thing under the sun. What has been and what is what will be. It's kind of like a Viewmaster. It's just these images of pictures and they just keep going around in circles. I would also like to say, to quote the same book of the Bible, Ecclesiastes, everything has its appointed time. Everything has its appointed time, the good and the bad. But again, there is no new thing. The world has not really changed. We're just seeing it in a new way. Before, all of the good was brought to light, and what we call occult or evil, wickedness, all of that was suppressed. It doesn't mean it wasn't here. It was just underground. You didn't see it. It wasn't talked about. It was hush-hush. But now the roles are switching. That's the narrative that's being pushed. It's not the natural narrative. It is a false narrative. Again, everything has its appointed time. And it's not their time. But that don't seem to matter to them. They think they can go against the clock in nature. And it's just not so. You can try. And then again, it's like our own narratives. We can go again. When I say narrative, I'm speaking of our birth charts. Of what that is your narrative. That's your story. It's your life. Your whole life is embedded in the stars. They tell the story of what is, what was, and what will be for you and me and everything and everybody. And it's just a repeating cycle that goes over and over again. And sometimes the darkness comes out and walks in the light, which is what we're experiencing now. Which again, it's out of its appointed time. It actually shouldn't be happening. But it lives in fear. Actually, the wickedness is what really fears. How do I say this? The Bible teaches it that I guess you walk in faith. There is no fear in God. There is no fear. Anytime a good angel showed up, the first thing they said was, don't be afraid. There's no fear. When you have a near-death experience, immediately, the first thing that is so prevalent is there's no fear, there's no pain, there's no sorrow, regret. None of that exists. You become completely detached from the body. It's just like dirty clothes to you. It was just a costume you wore for a performance. But we attribute so much of our entire lives to our bodies. And, in a way you can look at the difference between lunar astrology and solar astrology, which actually we have two solar astrologies, because one of them, again, the false narrative, it's 23.5 degrees off of what one would call true north. It's lost its direction because they stop the clock. They forget the clock turns, and they've locked it onto a particular timeline that occurred around 300 AD. And they've locked it there. Maybe a little before that. I just definitely associate it with the Church of Nicaea, the founding of what we would call the Catholic Church, the pontificate, the translation of the many books of the Greeks and the Hebrews into one concordance that we today call the Bible. And the book of Revelations marks that timeline. And they locked it there. And they won't let the clock move. So the pillar is tilted like the Tower of Pisa. The solar pillar is tilted. But it's going to straighten up. It's going to straighten up. Now, I said all of that because, again, I don't want anybody to be afraid. There's truly no sense in it. There's nothing to fear. Death is not to be feared. The only thing that really should be feared is being born here again. Unless this place is set back right. Now, I want to do a video about 2024 and what's coming. But I want to do an authentic video. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do a New Year's video, but things have been just different around here. Let me say that this Thanksgiving, this Christmas, and this New Year have been the strangest I've ever experienced in my life. They were the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, and the New Year's that was not. I'll just put it that way. We had the hottest summer we've really ever had here. The temperatures were over 115 every day for over 2 months. It was excruciating. There were days it was between 120 and 125. You couldn't breathe outside. It was atrocious. So I knew we were going to have a bit of an Indian summer. And we're just now really starting to experience any type of winter weather. Just in the past maybe week. That it's been way above average here as far as temperatures go. Which can throw the holidays off. Especially when you're used to snow before Christmas. But this year that didn't happen. But that's not the strange thing. That's happened before. I've experienced Indian summers before. But something that I experienced or did not experience this year quite astounded me. But I'm very grateful for it in a way because it really messes up Kelly. But this year, I did not hear one firework here. As a matter of fact, usually, way before the holiday season, they did it for the 4th of July. These fireworks stands, they set up all over this town. There'll be one at Walmart and an empty parking lot here, a corner lot there. There'll be about 4 or 5 of them here in this small town. This year we didn't have any. There are no fireworks. There were no firecrackers. There was no fireworks display of any kind whatsoever. And the other strange thing about it is nobody said a word. I haven't heard anybody around here even mention it, that there were no fireworks. Usually in the little churchyard behind my house, the kids go out there and it's a concrete slab. They play basketball and volleyball and they set off their fireworks just right in my back door, which really freaks out Kelly. That didn't happen this year. Everything about this holiday season, as we call it, Thanksgiving through New Year's, just wasn't. It didn't feel like Christmas. It just wasn't. I don't know what to say. It was the Christmas, the holidays that wasn't, because it wasn't just Christmas. The fireworks were expected predominantly at New Year's, and there weren't any. No sign of them. As a matter of fact, my friend that's back and forth from Texas only seen one fireworks stand between here and Dallas. So I'm curious as to the rest of you. How did your area fare with fireworks, really? Because they didn't happen here, and that's unusual. These people, they like They like their bangs and celebrations, and like the 4th of July. They're extremely patriotic. So, quite interesting. And this year is going to be very interesting. This year is going to be, we get Uranus will finally end up in Taurus. It's not yet, but it's going to go there this year, which starts the changing of the money. I do not believe it will start in the United States. I believe it'll be launched in a few other countries, like a trial run before it's done here. But money's going to change. They're going to do whatever they have to promote their agenda. And money is the key to it all. Money is the root of how they make all of this operate, because it's a fiat currency. It doesn't matter about your governments, whether they're democracies, republics, dictatorships, monarchies, constitutional monarchies. All of that's garbage, because no government of any kind can function under a fiat currency where a private institution has control over what they decide the value of that money is. And they decide whether or not it's a business. They print it or they burn it. They cause inflation or whatever they want to do with it. It's a manipulated market. It's rigged. And no government can truly function under that. It can only be controlled by it. So it's time for that to change. It's time for that central bank, fiat currency, manipulated by a few elite families, to lose their power. Their time is up. And they're going to push a lot of propaganda at you this year. Basically, what we have been experiencing from really a few centuries now, but for the timeline that we're on since 9/11, has been a form of chaos magic. And the real chaos, the whole rituals for the chaos magic had to do with America between these two eclipses, between 2017 and 2024. That was their timeline. That was when their chaos magic rituals were supposed to come to fruition. And this is what we've been experiencing. Everything is a propaganda. It's a narrative. It's a push. Nothing that you see on the news is real. It's all a put on show. It's all Hollywood. It's all an agenda. It's all controlled. To me, it's all a lie. There's no truth in it. If you want to know truth, the first thing you have to do is turn off your television. Because to me, that's the false prophet. It lies. It does nothing but lie. There's no truth in it. None of it. It's all an agenda. And they're very good at their craft. Even making it look sloppy and weak and falling apart is part of the agenda. Because they want to birth their new world, their new order. And they can't do that until all of the other orders are brought down. Hence the chaos magic. That's what it's about. But here's the funny thing about chaos magic. The only way it works is your reaction. It's another Hegelian dialect, like a false flag, problem, reaction, solution. And the only way that it works is by your reaction. And your reaction needs to be fear. It needs to be fight or flight. And the only true reaction, if you're walking in real truth and you don't fall for all the crap, your reaction would be laughter, because it's damn funny. It's really damn funny when you sit back and you look at really how, in a way, I see them as completely retarded, because truly these people live in constant fear. They're constantly worried about their money, their status, their control, their positions, but they have no real substance on the inside. They're all lower chakra. Everything is lower chakra. And that's why I want to keep you in the upper chakra. The only thing I can really do to help you is to help you stay in the upper chakras. The rest of your life is completely up to you. I have no say. You have free will. You can do and choose what you want to do. You can be a part of the problem, you can be a part of the solution, or you can just sit back and watch the show and don't be a part of it at all. That's the choices we have. Now me, I like to express myself probably more than I actually do. But I like to share what I've learned and what I understand. So I want to do a true 2024 breakdown. And the only reason I'm doing this right now is because my internet's down. We got a storm rolling through. Kelly's been freaking out. She's calmed down and finally laid down. And I don't have internet. I'm supposed to be at work. So I'm going to have to redo all that later when I get my internet back. So for the time being, I'm going to record this. Not sure when I'm going to upload it, but it's 1:40 a.m. on the 8th. So I'm going to back this date up, because the true new year, the sun dies here, but it's born again 3 days later. 21 dies on 21, 22, 23, and what we call Christmas Eve is really the first day. So this is the day you would actually look at to forecast the birth of the sun for the coming year. Minus the 3 days, which is 3 degrees, which is that 216 again. Alright, the big boy moving this year is going to be Uranus. But he doesn't start the year in Taurus. It's going to move in there. So we're going to see a move on the money this year. To do that, from my understanding of how they operate, to change the money, which is what they want to remain control of, they're going to crash it. And again, like I said, I don't think it's going to start in the United States. I don't think it's going to start with what we call the petrodollar. This will be played out over a period of time. They'll do smaller countries to see how they operate. Let me actually change this here. Because, oh, no, I want to go this way. Oh. I want to put it at noon. Well, let me put it at 6. We'll do it at 5:59 and let it clock over. The moon starts this year in Taurus. And the sun on the bow, coming, literally birthing out of the Milky Way. This has been a very unique age, Pisces is. Very unique age. The way that the summer and the winter solstice aligned with the Milky Way galaxy. And then that would be the Sagittarius Gemini masculine axis of the mutable cross, aligned with the summer and winter solstice, where Pisces and Virgo, the feminine axis, the mermaid, half fish, half woman, the Starbucks logo is the sigil for this age of Pisces, Virgo. So we start the year with Mars in his own house, Mercury combust of the sun, and Venus in her own house, Mars in her own house. Her, him, they switch from, I can call Uranus him in Aries, but when it moves into a feminine house, it expresses its feminine energy. We need to keep more account of that. Jupiter in Aries, retrograde. Yes, retrograde. Jupiter, so this year will be that fiery mind thinking out of the box. You have Uranus, the conscious mind, and Jupiter, which are your desires, your impulses, its empire, its expansion, its growth in cardinal fire, and cardinal fire can be very destructive because it is cardinal fire, but it can also be very purifying. You take this energy and you purify your conscious mind. That's what you should have been doing the whole time Uranus is here. Now the same with Jupiter. You purify your desires. You simplify them. You get rid of you trim the excess and the fat. You get to the basics. You know, we're told to transform ourselves, to prove ourselves accountable, to prove ourselves worthy by the studying and the renewing of our minds. The renewing of our mind. And what better place to do that than in the house of the purifier? You get the phoenix out of the ashes. That's the Aries, Libra, masculine axis of the cardinal cross. The bird, Libra, air sign, out of the fire. It's the phoenix out of the ashes. Saturn in its own house. And we'll be here. Great place. We have Saturn literally in the navel, in the reproductive system, in the birthing of Aquarius. I want to switch this over. Y'all know how I like to look at this, and actually, they call it Arabic, but it's an Oriental. The Orient. Oriental. That's a better word for it than Asian. Asian comes off more China, Japan, Korea, Vietnam. This is Oriental. The part of the Orient. You go there for orientation, to get organized. Is Mercury retrograde here? Yes, we have Mercury not only combust, but retrograde on the 24th. So this energy that we're talking about right now with Uranus and Jupiter and Mercury retrograde and combust here, this energy will last through till the summer solstice, when it flips opposite of what it will be here. But this is the birth of it, or it will actually peak. And in one aspect it peaks, and in one aspect it flips. So this energy, total communication breakdown, combust of the sun and retrograde. bad time for taking a vacation in the next 6 months. I wouldn't advise it. Don't travel further than necessary. Not a good time for travel. Mars, in its own house of Scorpio, upper house, Ophiuchus, but the energy is still Scorpio. This is Mars's feminine aspect. This is Mars's sexual aspect. Mars rules that fire of Aries, but that water of Scorpio. It's about friends rather than family. It's, in a way, I guess you could say, cult. It's group. It's a different type of groupthink. Again, water. Pisces is very much about groupthink. Water. The moon, collective, very much about groupthink. When you think water, you think fish. And fish school. They stay in their little collectives. They segregate with their own. And then you have the lone sharks, like the lone wolves. Those fish that don't stay with their group. They tend to be the predators. But everything is about, even all of this identity, gender crap, all of that going on right now. It is about, because people don't have an identity. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they are, and they don't know why they're here. This whole generation feels like a generation without a purpose. And that's something everyone struggles with. Who am I, and why the hell am I here? And all of that's easily answered in the stars. Venus in the own house of Libra. Are you retrograde this day? No. So, Venus, that's our heart chakra. And it's in the masculine axis of the heart chakra. It's opposite, hear me, it's opposite of Jupiter and Uranus right now for the next 6 months. That energy. It's opposite your conscious mind. It's opposite what you think and what you know. The heart has a mind of its own. And when I think of Venus in Libra, because it's cardinal, I think of the Father's heart. This is the Father's heart. And Taurus is the Mother's heart. This is Daddy's heart. It's more endearing than Father. That's too formal. This is Daddy or Papa. It's that endearing. The moon in Taurus, feminine aspect of the heart. Very, very befitting with Venus where it is. So that energy, that heart energy, is going to be amplified by the moon as well. With Mars in Scorpio, I can see a lot of relationships building and sexual activity, and you're not going on vacation, you're staying at home and you're making babies. I see a lot of that in this chart. There'll be a lot of pregnancies in the next 6 months. A lot of new life, new creation. Very appropriate, too, for the birth of the sun. The energy of the birth of the sun. I can't ever say enough about how important Saturn is in Aquarius to all of us. Because he's in the masculine aspect of the fixed cross, and that's the crown in your crown chakra. Capricorn and Aquarius are the crown chakra. The earthly aspect and the heavenly aspect. And we all live over here in Capricorn, in the feminine aspect. We have to cross over. This is left brain, right brain. You're supposed to move from the feminine into the masculine and open your third eye. It's what it's all about. To be born again. Some translations, they do it justice and they'll tell you it's born from above. It's born in that upper chakra, in that crown chakra, right here, right there, right where Saturn is. To be born there. Have that crown chakra lit up like a Christmas tree. Fomalhaut, for those of you who are new around here, which I doubt there are many of those, Fomalhaut is the Star of Bethlehem. And that's what's celebrated on this day. So what you do is you move the winter solstice to where Fomalhaut is way over here. And the sun is rising it's in the solstice. It's way over here in this date. When Fomalhaut rose with the sun on this date is when the Star of Bethlehem was born. This is how old this story is. So it's 1, 2, 3. This is a 6,000-year-old story. It's not 2,000 years old. It's 6,000 years old. Because it's born on this day. But it's just a babe. This energy, when you talk about winter solstice energy, that's baby energy. Again, it's birth. It's birth. But to get to birth, you go through the labor. And the labor occurs from the fall equinox to the winter solstice. That's the labor. All right. Is Saturn retrograde here? This is real important. No, thank goodness. That's good to know. Jupiter retrograde is absolutely fine because you do think outside of the box, especially with the conscious mind there. That's just absolutely fabulous. This has been good energy since it's been here. Jupiter with Uranus is always good energy because you do have that. This is lower chakra. Uranus is no chakra. It's above the chakras. They tell you consciousness is not local to the body. Uranus is not part of the body. It's not attached to a chakra, but it can influence them because you have free will. It's your conscious mind. It can influence. And this whole time Uranus has been here, and I've said this before in other videos previously about purifying your mind here. The renewing of your mind. Put away those negative thoughts. You choose to watch the TV. You like clickbait, sensationalism, gossip. We all do. I'm not saying it's a sin. I'm telling you it keeps you in the lower chakra. And there's something wonderful coming. Right now, they want to keep you in the lower chakra, so when the something wonderful comes, you don't break free of this place. Because you will have the ability to do so then. And they'll do everything they can to stop you from leaving this matrix. And the thing they use against us the most is our heart. Venus. They use it against us the most. It's the only way they kept me here. I was gone. When I opened my third eye as a little girl, I was out of here. I did not want to be here. I knew this place was not real. I remembered before coming into the body, and I wouldn't buy in this bullshit. And I didn't stay for me. It was they tugged at my heartstrings. I felt, in a great way, I feel like I was played. But I totally agreed. It was my free will. I made the choice. I was given a choice and I made it. And I agreed to stay, not for myself, because I don't want anything from this fake, phony, unreal, unnatural reality that's being it's superimposed over the natural one. It's a fake narrative. The truth's been hidden from us. And when you know the truth sets you free. Free from what is the question? Bondage. What bondage? The bondage of fear. Because when you don't have fear, you can't be controlled. You can do what you want to. You can really express your free will. Nothing suppresses free will more than fear. Matter of fact, I think it's the only thing that suppresses free will. They have a saying about Islam that Islam would be a dead religion, but they have this law that if you leave Islam, then the rest of them are required to, kill you. That you don't matter anymore. You become a targeted individual. I think a lot of the churches in America practice this as well. The Catholic Church has their anathema ceremonies where you're banished, you're exiled. And they do the same thing in the Protestant churches. If you don't, you're shunned, like in the Jehovah's Witnesses. If you don't comply, you're shunned. I think I just heard my internet come back on. That'll be a blessing. What else do we have? We've done Mars, we've done Venus, we've done Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury. Neptune should still be in Pisces. Let's see if Neptune is retrograde. Neptune here is magical. But, yes, in Pisces are you retrograde? Hard to tell. Going to have to look at my numbers. Let me get in a... Wow. 3900.7. No, not retrograde. So, okay, just imagination. But there's a lot of scary stories in the imagination here. This is the abyss, after all. Jupiter rules the abyss, and Sagittarius, the lake of fire. This is the fire in the mind, especially when Uranus is here. But it's the lower mind, the Jupiter. The Jupiterian lower chakra mind, the body. The body. This is where fight or flight comes from, actually. From the lake of fire. Aries is totally fight. There's no flight to it. And we have Pluto. My letters are going off my keyboard. They're just blank now. I've had it so long, there's only a couple of letters that you can actually read. Are we retrograde? What's our numbers? 4807 in Sagittarius. So it's been retrograde and it's out of retrograde. So it's moving back into Capricorn, coming out of Sagittarius for the last time. But it's still going to have that Sagittarian energy for the next 6 months in what we call the big picture. There's what we call mundane astrology is day-to-day astrology. But when you're looking at solstices and equinoxes, you're looking at the big picture. Okay? And the big picture has us on the mutable cross. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the age of the mutable cross. Actually, it's the end of the age of the mutable cross. And there are a few dates to look at this year, especially the eclipse. Let's jump there real quick for the eclipse. and it is 4, oh my goodness, I forget the date. I want to say 26 or 4/8. Let me pause and check that. I have an announcement to make about the eclipse. Let me go check that for a second. I'm going to pause. See if my internet came back on. Yes, my internet is back on. And yes, it is on the 8th. And it passes here where I'm at. It's going to pass over where I'm at. As a matter of fact, myself, one of my subscribers that does tarot, one of my subscribers that's into holistics and massages and therapies, another one of my subscribers that does regression therapy. So far there's like 4 or 5 of us, and we are trying to put together a get-together, a gathering for this eclipse, April the 8th, in Tallahena, Oklahoma. And we want to go up on winding stair up onto the mountain and watch the eclipse. Apparently, I've been looking into this for a few months now. I didn't want to say anything because of trying to work out the logistics. Because this is a small town, and they only have 2 little hotels, and the one that we have access to only has 11 rooms, and we would have to double up. We could get 20 people in, 22 people if everybody was willing to double up. And we've been trying to negotiate a deal, but apparently we're not the only ones that go to this place that wants to go up on this mountain at 3 Sticks to see the eclipse. So they're jacking up their prices for that event. And at this point, it would be almost cheaper to just everybody that wants to go to pitch in and rent one of these huge lodges. And they sleep like 20 people. And they have everything there. All you bring is your food. They've got the linens, the towels, the silverware, the pots, the pans, fire pits, TVs. You get to go fishing. We want to do it for 3 days. Which the eclipse, hold on. The eclipse is on a Monday. And the lodge actually offers you a deal. If you get 2 days, you get the 3rd free, Monday through Thursday. So we wanted to do a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday deal. Buy 2 days for 20 people, and you get the 3rd day for free. But it kind of puts us out of the way of where we want to be. I've been trying to find one closer to 3 Sticks. But so far, I want to put this out there and get some feedback. How many of you would be interested in doing that? It would be a big event. We would make time for everybody to visit the tarot, visit the astrologer, visit the regression therapy. We have massage therapy. We have a holistic, everything's set up. Everything's right there. All of us have a skill or a talent, and we're willing to share it with the group. And we're also interested in those of you who would like to join us to bring your skills, your talent, your knowledge, or even your products into this if you want to come. So, put that in the comment section. I will pay attention to this video's comment section. I know I don't a lot. Generally, I spend about the first hour after I upload a video, I might be in the comment section. But seriously, honestly, I am never on my YouTube channel unless I'm uploading a video. I'm just never there. I only use it to upload videos. That's the only reason I use my channel. So, I actually, it's hard for me. I have a different channel that I don't put videos on. I don't make comments on. I just watch stuff on it because of the algorithms. You're limited. And mine is really messed up. As a matter of fact, I've got another project in the works that I've been trying to get off the ground, which might happen later this week. And we're actually going to talk about what's going on with the algorithms, because mine is off the charts and people have noticed it. It's crazy what YouTube tries to do to me in the algorithms. I mean, I can blatantly tell it, don't recommend this channel, I'm not interested in this video, and it will continue to push it at me. They'll send me the same video just by a different uploader. It's quite incredible what they do. So we're going to have Jupiter really close to Uranus on this day. The Sun, Mercury, Moon, Venus, all in Pisces. Saturn with Mars in the water of life. The crown chakra and the root chakra. And they're going to become, let's go ahead and move the moon. Let's get the time right. There it is. So it'll be at 1:26. Might as well say about 1:30 in the afternoon. But we're going to have that Mars. Anybody retrograde right there? No. Crown chakra and root chakra. So Mars loses his authority here. This is Saturn in Saturn's house. It's almost confrontational, but Mars has no authority here. The root chakra has no authority here. It's going to be a very crown chakra day, especially with Saturn in Aquarius in that water of life. That water of life happens when you open your third eye. When you walk in that land of milk and honey. So that's interesting, is that we have the cardinal cross represented by Uranus, Jupiter. The mutable cross represented by Venus, the Sun, and Mercury, and the Moon, and Pisces as well. I meant Neptune in Pisces as well. And Saturn and Mars represented in Aquarius. We have Pluto over here. We pretty much have all of the planets between Capricorn and Aries, between the feminine aspect of the cardinal cross and the masculine aspect of the cardinal cross. And this is in the middle. Very interesting for this day. Who's retrograde here? Mercury's not, Venus is not, Mars is not, which are the main players. Jupiter is not. Saturn is not. That's actually good energy. When the planets are retrograde, it's supposed to be symbolic of your chakras spinning in reverse, spinning the wrong way. How about Uranus? Are you retrograde? What's my numbers? 50, 18, 3. No. Uranus, not retrograde. So that's a really good energy all through there as well. Pluto's out of its retrograde. What about Neptune? Will you be retrograde then? I haven't looked up any retrograde cycles for this year. I haven't looked up anything for anything, actually. I have been otherwise occupied with stuff I don't want to bore you with or take up time with right now. So our Neptune is at 5130.4. No. So we don't have anybody retrograde during this. Nobody. So that's good news. Chakras all going in the right way. Saturn and Mars in the correct position. This would be a great time for a Pentecostal event, which is kind of what I see coming. I just don't know where to find it in the stars. I really haven't done my homework on it, or I would probably have a general idea, but I don't even have that. The best I could go on would be what the New Testament has to say about it being so many days after Passover. What is it, like 50 days or 40 days after Passover? All right. And that's funny, because Passover, too, is when you die in the winter solstice for 3 days, and then you come out of the tomb. That's the real Passover. But they mark it by the spring equinox, which is the day of balance. The day and the night are equally balanced. Here, you're born in darkness. You're born in darkness. And the sun rises here. So, the sun rises when Aquarius is in the spring equinox. That's the power. It's in the east. That's the power. You move into authority. You peak authority at the summer solstice, and you lose your authority in the fall equinox. You move out of power. All right, I don't know how much I have, what else to say here. I want to end this video like I started it. And that's to do my best to keep you in the upper chakras. Don't fear anything. There's nothing happening, coming, that has not happened before. And we're all still here. The world's not going to be blowed up. In my opinion, we are not coming into what they call the apocalypse, or the second coming of Christ, or even the Antichrist. I think all of that is a false, lying narrative that is being played out for us on all fronts, including the religious side. I think they're probably the most duped. But from where I see things, this already played out. That happened 1,000 years ago. We're at the time where Satan has already been released out of the pit. All these demons, or whatever you want to call them, they've been walking among us for a while now. And what's coming, we're told very little about in the Bible, actually. And it's called the gathering of Gog and Magog. And to deceive the nations for one last time. And it's a great deception. It's that solar pillar off by 23 degrees. It's lying. It's a great deception. And this battle never happens. There is no apocalypse. There is no second coming. There is no Antichrist. It's just a great freaking war that again, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, that wasn't. Because once they're gathered to that battle, they call it surround the camp of the saints. And when that happens, it's divine intervention. That's what we're told. That it's divine intervention. The war never happens. God himself steps in and stops it. And it's no more. And that we as a people learn war no more. We learn war no more. That symbol of the Cairo, that symbol of Mars, cardinal fire Aries axis over that mutable cross, is over. It's over. To me, that's the cross of Constantine. It's the mutable cross, is the Cairo. It's the mutable cross with the masculine axis of the cardinal cross superimposed over it. And right now, they flipped it. Everything is upside down. The Cairo, let me see if I can do this. The Cairo, what we call the XP. And it's got a little P up here. That's the Aries part. It's flipped upside down. Because Pisces and Virgo are no longer in control. We have Gemini and Sagittarius ruling the game. So we don't have that Mars aspect. It's what they call the Lucifer aspect. Mars is down here and Lucifer's up, or Venus. It's Libra. Libra up here, Aries down here. It's flipped. So you have the feminine aspect, disempowered, and it's the masculine aspect of Gemini and Sagittarius that's in power. All the symbols tell us this. All of them. Now, the funny thing about what they're doing, this fake crap they're doing, is the twins here, Dionysus and Theseus, let's call them that. So Dionysus is in control. Or let's call them Hermes and Hermaphrodite. Hermaphrodite is in control. And he's dressed like a woman. And he's trying to play the feminine part over it's the Virgin. They're both Mercury. They're both Mercury. The real feminine Mercury, Virgo, and Dionysus, the fake feminine. Hermaphrodite, the fake feminine. That's what all this gender identity, they're trying to switch the mindset from here to here. It's the unicorn, it's the rainbow, it's the rabbit, the fox, the dog and pony show, the lynx that goes around as a roaring lion, and it's not. It's not a lion. It just plays like it is. Alright, well, that's the equinox. I meant the eclipse there. And I will do another video on this one. My main point of doing this was for this 2023, going into 2024, actually. The real first day of 2024. Let me put it that way. The real first day of 2024. Right there. So we're going to have some nice, good moon energy here. And again, Taurus is about, it's the builders. It's Earth. It's fixed Earth. It's stable. It's secure. It's about planning for the future. It's about money. Let's take a quick look again at Uranus. And when do we actually move into May 23rd, 5/23 is the first day of Uranus actually moving into Taurus. Wow, got a lot going on there that day. Wow, what a day. 23 is the number of magic, by the way. And we have the Jupiter, Venus, the Sun. Man, there's a lot going on there. Let me move this. Yeah, Jupiter, Venus, and the Sun all bunched up. So Jupiter and Venus are both eclipsed each other and combust the Sun. That's a very interesting day. I'll have to take another look at that. Mercury lagging behind. Mars unstable in Pisces. Wow, yeah, that's a day I'm going to have to take a look at. So I can imagine it's a bit of a crazy day. It's going to be a bit of a crazy day. But that's the first day that they'll begin to make their move. And if you remember from iPad Go 2, when the Christ figure comes through and corporate America is just abolished, or corporate world, I call it corporate America because that's its hub, but it's abolished, and they tank the economy. That's when they begin, that's when they're going to roll out their thing. When they tank the economy, when you see it on the news, on that lying television, that's part of the script. That's when you know, that's what I call they have to play their cards. And if they don't get what they want by deception, by hook or by crook, they'll do it by force. And that will lead to an altercation, a type of war, a very limited one. But the whole point, again, if you go by biblically, especially in the book of Revelations, whether it's the first or the end of the age, whether it is the first, the return of Christ, or the end of the age, because those are two different events, regardless of which one it is, because the second one imitates the first one. It's a repeat. That's why there's no new thing under the sun. He keeps doing the same thing over and over again, and that's what? Gathering the nations together for the battle of Gog and Magog, which is the battle of water and fire. It's the battle of Europe and Asia. It's the battle of the changing of the ages, the one that we're told, that Game of Thrones story. That's what that is. And remember, in the Game of Thrones, you had more than one battle. You had to fight the Night King before the actual battle for the throne ensued. You had one in the night, which is the winter solstice in the dark, and then you had one in the day. All right. I'm cutting this video here. I'll try to have another one out for you in the next couple of days. I'd really like to thank everybody that supported this channel in 2023. It meant more to me than you know. It's been hard going. I have a lot more subscribers here than I ever had on Brighteon. But I actually have to say, I had more support on Brighteon than I do here. It's been tough going coming back. So the small handful of you that have supported this channel, I really appreciate you being there for me last year. More than you'll ever know. More than you'll ever know. And do in the comment section, tell me how you feel about whether or not you want to join our gathering on the eclipse, whether you would like to add your knowledge, skills, or whatever to the group. And also tell me about, did you have any fireworks where you lived? Or was it like here in the lack thereof? I just found it extremely strange that I've never encountered this anywhere I've ever been. Is that on Christmas, New Year's, and even Thanksgiving, there's usually fireworks here all the time. Kids around here love to blow stuff up. Alright, people. Y'all know what to do. Bank your karma. It's the greatest thing you can do for yourself, and it keeps you in your upper chakras. It keeps your mind on it. That's the renewing of the mind. It's to keep your mind off the fear porn, off the clickbait, off the sensationalism, and keep it on things above. Keep it on higher things. And no better way to do that and then being kind to others. And really, that's the commandment that we were given. Love one another as I've loved you. The greatest thing a man can do in his whole life is to lay down his life for a friend. It's the giving that brings in the greatest happiness. There's a lot more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. And I speak as one that I didn't know how to receive. That's something I had to learn to do. It just wasn't... my childhood was just terrible. I'm not going to go into that here. People, I love y'all very much. And if you haven't already, think about supporting this channel. It is 100% supported by viewers like you. So if my videos have helped you, please help me keep them coming to you.